أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين وصلى الله على سيدنا ونبينا أبي القاسم المصطفى محمد وعلى أهل بيته الأطيبين الأنجبين بهم نتولى ومن أعدائهم نتبرأ إلى الله أيها الناس اتقوا الله. I invite myself and you all to taqwa, to be mindful of Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala in all walks of life, to be obedient to Him and to have His commands before us whatever we do. The days that we are in are the days of Wilayat, the days of Imamat, and so many important and Mubarak occasions we have in this month. We had the birth of Abu Abdullah al-Husayn, Imam al-Sajjad, Abu al-Fadl al-Abbas, alayhim salam. Now a little bit I'll shed some light on the fadilat and the greatness of Imam al-Sajjad alayhi salam. Now we've got these kinds of riwayat that I'll be just quoting for only two ma'asumeen. One is for Hazrat Fatima alayha salam and the other is for Imam Sajjad alayhi salam. Hadith, it's from Imam Zainul Abidin alayhi salam. He's quoting from Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Rasulullah quotes the greatness of Imam Sajjad. Says, إذا كان يوم القيامة ينادي مناد أين زين العابدين. When it will be the day of judgment, the caller would say, where is Zainul Abidin? And then Rasulullah says, فكأني أنظر إلى ولدي علي ibn al-Husayn. It is as if I can see my son Ali ibn al-Husayn. That is Ali, Imam al-Sajjad, son of Husayn, grandson of Abu Talib, Ali ibn Abi Talib, يَخْطُرُ بَيْنَ الصُّفُوفِ, tearing the sufuf of Mahshar. He comes towards the stage, towards the front of the scenes of Mahshar. And then, that is the greatness. Out of the entire creation of Allah, now the first one, when the scenes of Mahshar, when Mahshar opens up, and Rasulullah formally opens the Qiyamah, and the judgment is to start, and then the second hadith, it says that, and when everyone will gather, Allah's caller would say, غَضُّ, lower down your sights. Why? Because Fatima, she's going to pass by. So this honorary or this greatness or azamat that we see, it's only for two people. One is for Hazrat Fatima and the second is for Imam Sajjad alayhi salam. What greatness he carries. Zainul Abidin, the beauty of worshippers. He worshipped a lot. And then throughout his life he cried for Abu Abdullah the most among the Bakka'in. Bakka'in means those who cried a lot in this creation of Allah. First Prophet Adam, then we have Prophet Yaqub. For his son Yusuf he cried for 40 years. Then we have Yahya, who used to cry due to the fear of Allah. Then we have Imam Sajjad alayhi salam, who used to cry due to the fear of God and also the incidents that unfolded in Karbala. And Hazrat Fatima alayha salam, in a very short span of time, 75 or 95 days, she got into that rank of Bakka'in. So that is regarding Imam Sajjad alayhi salam. Now, it was the birth of Abu Abdullah al-Husayn alayhi salam on the 3rd. From Quran, I'll quote an ayah and I'd like you to pay attention to it as well. And it is the ayah number 15 from Surah Al-Ahqaf. Now the ayat prior to this ayah 15, that is 13 and 14, they talk about the companions of Abu Abdullah al-Husayn alayhi salam. The ayah says, إن الذين قالوا ربنا الله ثم استقاموا فلا خوف عليهم ولا هم يحزنون. Those who said that Allah is our Lord, ثم استقاموا, and they were firm with that statement, with what they believed, فلا خوف عليهم, they had no fear, ولا هم يحزنون, they had no worry, no huzn. Says these are the companions of Imam Husayn alayhi salam. أولئك أصحاب الجنة خالدين فيها جزاء بما كانوا يعملون. They are the ashab of the heaven, the companions of Jannah, and then خالدين فيها, they will abide there, endure there in the heaven forever, جزاء بما كانوا يعملون, as a reward for what they did in this dunya. Now this is the ashab. Now, the ayat after that, the following ayah, it mentions the rising of Abu Abdullah al-Husayn alayhi salam with great honor and dignity. An ayat talking about the wilayats and imamat in Quran, they are numerous, many. But these ayat, they have been mentioned very discreetly and in a cover, in an istitar. Ma'asumin alayhim salam, they have mentioned what these ayat mean and what are they for. Now, when we look into the riwayats and the statements of Ma'asumin, there you come to know that the interpretation of these ayat cannot be but what the Ma'asum has said. Now, what the ayah is. Now this is from Imam al-Sadiq alayhi salam regarding the interpretation of the 15th ayah of Surah Al-Ahqaf. Imam says, لما حملت فاطمة بالحسين جاء جبرائيل عليه السلام إلى رسول الله. When Fatima got pregnant and Imam Husayn she was carrying, Jibreel comes to Hazrat Fatima, فقال, comes to Rasulullah and says that Inna Fatima satalidu ghulaman taqtuluhu ummatuk. Says, Ya Rasulullah, Fatima, she is going to give birth to a child, to a son, and your nation will kill him after you. من بعدك. فلما حملت فاطمة بالحسين كرهت حمله وحين وضعته كرهت وضعه. Now Fatima, when she is carrying Imam Husayn alayhi salam, she carries and bears the child, or this pregnancy of hers is in sadness, in sorrow. When she delivers, gives birth to the baby, she is sad. Now ثم قال Abu Abdullah, Imam al-Sadiq alayhi salam, he says that, have you ever seen any mother in this dunya who is pregnant with a son and she is sad whilst carrying the son and sad when she is delivering the baby? ولكنها كرهته. لما علمت أنه سيقتل. Why was she sad? Because she knew what is going to unfold on Abu Abdullah al-Husayn alayhi salam. The knowledge, the ilm that Ma'asumin they have, they can see. It is shuhud. They can see exactly what is going to unfold. So she sees what is going to happen in Karbala. So with that vision that she has, she is sad carrying the baby. With that vision and ilm she has, she is sad delivering the baby. Now, the ayah is قال وفيه نزلت هذه الآية. Says it is for Imam Husayn this ayah was revealed. What is that ayah? ووصينا الإنسان بوالديه إحسانا حملته أمه كرها ووضعته كرها. Says that we have advised mankind towards his parents that they have to do ihsan. Ihsan means doing good to parents. Parents, whether they are alive or whether they have passed away. Now, if you look into Surah Maryam, in Surah Maryam, Prophet Yaqub alayhi salam, when he sees that Hazrat Maryam at a very young age, 9-10 years old, and she is in that mihrab of worship, worshipping Allah in such a beautiful way, and then Allah is sending food for her iftar and for sahar, for her in that masjid. There, Yaqub is an old man now. He says, God, I also want to have a child. Rabbi habli min ladunka waliya. That Allah habli min ladunka waliya. That I also want to have a child. Yarisuni wa yarisu min ali Yaqub waj'alhu Rabbi radiyya. Says, give me a child who could inherit from me and from the descendants of Yaqub, and then Allah make him radiyya. Radiyya means Allah make him content, make him happy. That is, whatever you destined for him, that qada of yours, your decree, whatever that is, make my son, make my child, make my descendants happy. Now again in the same surah, when you come towards the other ayats, there says that قَدْ جَعَلَ رَبُّكِ تَحْتَكِ سَرِيًّا, that Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala, when it talks about Hazrat Maryam Salamullah alayha, and then the wish that the Anbiya they had regarding Hazrat Yaqub and his children and the Yahya that is going to be given to him, then says that says lisan sidqin aliyya, that Allah وَجَعَلْنَا لَهُمْ لِسَانَ صِدْقٍ عَلِيًّا, that Allah give us a truthful tongue. لِسَانَ صِدْقٍ عَلِيًّا. Aliyya means exalted, but over here the imamat concept and looking into the wilayi tafsir means that Allah give them a tongue of Ali ibn Abi Talib alayhi salam. So that is that concept of wilayat and imamat that we see in Quran, and in abundance and a lot you can find it. So in this surah twice it is mentioned here, lisan as-sidqin aliyya, or then Allah give us a rank that is aliyya, which is exalted. So in Surah Al-Ahqaf, ayah 15 says, وَوَصَّيْنَا الْإِنسَانُ بِوَالِدَيْهِ إِحْسَانًا, that we have advised insan, human being, that they have to do good towards their parents. What is that good that Allah is advising Imam Husayn to do for his parents? What is that good? Now if my father had a legacy and he had a wasiyyah and he wants that to continue, it is upon me that I must continue after him. Anything good that was done by our parents that continues, so they are rewarded for that. Things that were undone and they wanted to do during their life and they could not do it, we should continue, because that is that ihsan that we will be doing towards our parents. So what is that ihsan that Imam Husayn is bound over here in this ayah towards his parents? It is to revive the line of Amirul Mu'mineen. What is the line of Amirul Mu'mineen? Imamat of Amirul Mu'mineen, Wilayat of Amirul Mu'mineen has to continue through Abu Abdullah al-Husayn alayhi salam. So when he says وَوَصَّيْنَا الْإِنسَانِ بِوَالِدَيْهِ, that we have advised the insan, the human being, towards his parents, his father and his mother, ihsanan, a good has to be done. Now here Hazrat Fatima, she carries Imam Husayn with sadness, with pain and with trouble, and she gives birth to Imam Husayn. People, they came and inquired Rasulullah and said, why a son be given to your daughter and then he be martyred, he be killed? Here Rasulullah replied that is that muqaddar, that is that destiny of Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala, that imamat is to continue through Husayn alayhi salam. And Hazrat Zahra, when she heard this from Rasulullah, she says, Raditu. Raditu means I'm happy, I'm content. So does it mean that she's not sad anymore? She is sad. because she is carrying a son which is so dear to her, who will be killed. So she carries the baby with sadness, but at the same time she is content, because it is the command of Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala that imamat continues through Imam Husayn alayhi salam. She says, Raditu, that I am content. So is she not sad anymore? She is sad. Now the rank of Rida, it doesn't mean that man should not be upset and sad. It doesn't mean that. That is why it is difficult as well. Like, for example, we've got the month of Ramadan fast approaching. We are fasting and then we see food. It's disturbing that we see the food and all these pakoras, for example, if you see them and you're fasting, you feel like eating it. You feel sad that you're not eating, but you continue with the fast. Despite that sorrow and pain and that desire you have towards food, you continue. Why? Because it is the command of God. He says fast, and He will reward you for that. Or for example, when we look into these battles, in jihad, soldiers, when they travel, when they are there, it's cold, it's hot, they are hungry, they are thirsty, they have to fight. It's painful, it's not easy, but they continue fighting. And then with that contentment and rida, that they are happy to continue with it. Why? Because Allah has said so. So with that command of Allah, that sorrow is also there, the pain is also there, contentment and that rida is also there. So Hazrat Fatima alayha salam, wada'athu kurhan, she gives birth to Imam Husayn kurhan, with sadness and pain. Now here Imam Sadiq alayhi salam says that this ayah was revealed here, that when the news of Imam Husayn alayhi salam's shahada was delivered to Hazrat Fatima alayha salam. Now Amir al-Mu'mineen, when he passes from this land of Karbala, I believe in the battle of Siffin, there Imam sees Karbala. Now Karbala hasn't unfolded. It's 30 years from now that Karbala is to come into existence. Imam cries in Siffin, in that land of Karbala, in the battle of Siffin. Why? Says this is the place where all these noble souls, they will fall, they will be killed. This is where my Husayn will be killed. He saw everything and that was evident. So he is sad. At the same time he is happy, because his legacy, his imamat, this Husayn is going to continue and take it further. So that is Imam Husayn. So وَصَّيْنَا الْإِنسَانُ بِوَالِدَيْهِ إِحْسَانًا, that Allah says, we have advised man that he does good to his parents, ihsanan. Now continuation of the same ayah says حَتَّى إِذَا بَلَغَ أَشُدَّهُ. Now we've got infancy, childhood, and then you've got adolescence, and then balagha ashuddahu. Balagha ashuddahu means when he comes of age, roughly 18 years of age. So Imam Husayn alayhi salam is given birth, is born, and now he is 18 years old, and then at the age of 40, continuation of the ayah. وَبَلَغَ أَرْبَعِينَ السَّنَةِ. When Imam Husayn is 40 years old, قَالَ رَبِّ أَوْزِعْنِي أَنْ أَشْكُرَ نِعْمَتَكَ الَّتِي أَنْعَمْتَ عَلَيَّ وَعَلَى وَالِدَيَّ وَأَنْ أَعْمَلَ صَالِحًا تَرْضَاهُ وَأَصْلِحْ لِي فِي ذُرِّيَّتِي. At the age of 40, Imam Husayn, he says that God bestow upon me that I be grateful to your ni'mat, to your blessings. Ni'mat over here is not food and drink. Many a times people, they interpret ni'mat as blessings, food and drink, that Allah is going to ask you for the food and drink. No. Allah is greater and akbar than that. On the day of judgment He will ask you, I gave you food and drink. He won't do that. He has created. It is upon Him that He has to provide. Huwa raziq. Ni'mat, it's the blessing of imamat. ثُمَّ لَتُسْأَلُنَّ يَوْمَئِذٍ عَنِ النَّعِيمِ. On the day of judgment, definitely you will be inquired about na'im. It is the blessing of imamat. Or for example, when we see Surah Al-Hamd, Ihdina Sirat al-Mustaqim, Sirat al-Ladhina an'amta alayhim, the path of those on who you have blessed. If it is from ni'mah and blessing, and then why does it say غَيْرِ الْمَغْضُوبِ عَلَيْهِمْ وَلَا الضَّالِّينَ, not the path of those who are astray, not the path of those who have been misled. So over here, ni'mah, it is the blessing of imamat, blessing of wilayat, which is the greatest of all the blessings that Allah has given. Imam Husayn, at the age of 40, he says, God, bestow upon me that I be grateful to your ni'mat of imamat. That is, imamat of Amirul Mu'mineen to continue through Imam Husayn alayhi salam. Allati an'amta alayya, you bestowed upon me. Wa ala waliday, and upon my parents. That is, that wilayat of Amirul Mu'mineen, of Hazrat Fatima, of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa sallam, wa an a'amala salihan, and that I do good. Tarda. Now that I'm doing good, you be happy with the good that I do. وَأَصْلِحْ لِي فِي ذُرِّيَّتِي, and then my descendants and my progeny, أَصْلِحْ لِي, make them, correct them for me. Now, then he says, إِنِّي تُبْتُ إِلَيْكَ وَإِنِّي مِنَ الْمُسْلِمِينَ, I submit and I return to you, and I promise that I will be patient. Imam fulfilled this promise. Where did he fulfill the promise? Of being patient, of being content with what he has said and promised to Allah at the age of 18, at the age of 40. He says, God, I promise to be obedient to you. I promise to submit to you. Now this promise is fulfilled on the day of Ashura, when Imam falls from his horse. He falls in a state of sajda. Maqatil, the reporters, they say that when he had fallen from his horse and in the pit and in the state of sajda, now Imam was fasting that day. Some of the reports that we have says he was fasting on that day of Ashura, and when he fell in the pit, he was whispering something. Now the enemies who were around Imam, they said that they thought that he is cursing them. But they said the reporters, when they came closer to Imam Husayn alayhi salam, he was saying, Ilahi ridan biridak, that God, I am content with your contentment. And after all the pain that he saw, he went through on the day of Ashura, and all the enemies who had killed him, the hunger, the thirst, the fast that he was observing on that day, what was he saying? ثُمَّ يُنَاجِي رَبَّهُ قَائِلًا صَبْرًا عَلَىٰ قَضَائِكَ وَبَلَائِكَ, patience towards all this calamity and the decree and destiny of yours. Ya Rab, la ma'buda siwak, O Lord, there is no Lord apart from you. That is where Imam Husayn alayhi salam, according to this 15th ayah of Surah Al-Ahqaf, it belongs to Imam Husayn alayhi salam, how Hazrat Zahra, she carried the baby with pain and sadness, and how she delivered, and then at the age of 18 and then 40, Imam Husayn alayhi salam, he vows and he promises to be obedient and to submit to Allah tabaraka wa ta'ala, and then ultimately in the pit on the day of Ashura, he fulfills his vow that he had. May Allah tabaraka wa ta'ala, by Abu Abdullah al-Husayn alayhi salam, this blessing of Iman that he has given to us, La tanzi', never ever cease away from us. La tanzi' salih ma a'taytana abada, never cease away the good that he has given to us. This mahabbat of Quran and Ahlul Bayt that has been given to us, which is the greatest of the blessings bestowed to us via our parents, their grandparents, there has been a heavy investment, and this message has reached us. Allah, all those who played a role in delivering this message to us, forgive them, elevate their ranks, and the best of ranks and maqamat be given to every one of them. Ya Allah, hasten in the return of our Imam, count us all among the best of his servants. وعجل في فرج مولانا صاحب الزمان. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. إنا أعطيناك الكوثر فصل لربك وانحر إن شانئك هو الأبتر. صل على محمد وعلى محمد. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد وعجل فرجهم. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين وصلى الله على سيدنا ونبينا أبي القاسم المصطفى محمد صلى على محمد وعلى محمد وعلى علي أمير المؤمنين وعلى الصديقة الطاهرة فاطمة سيدة نساء العالمين وعلى الحسن والحسين وعلي بن الحسين ومحمد بن علي وجعفر بن محمد وموسى بن جعفر وعلي بن موسى ومحمد بن علي وعلي بن محمد والحسن بن علي والخلف الهادي المهدي حججك على عبادك وأمنائك في بلادك صلاة كثيرة دائمة. اللهم وصل على ولي أمرك القائم المؤمل والعدل المنتظر وحفه بملائكتك المقربين وأيده بروح القدس يا رب العالمين. اللهم صل على محمد وعلى محمد. أيها الناس اتقوا الله. Once again, I invite myself and you all to taqwa. So it was mentioned in the previous khutbah that in the second khutbah of this Jumua we'll recite a few phrases from Khutbatul Muttaqeen, the khutbah number 173 from Nahjul Balagha, just a few lines every week, and see what Amirul Bayan, Amirul Mu'mineen says. The reporter, he comes to Imam and says, Sifli al-Muttaqeen, that tell me who Muttaqeen are. And Imam, he starts this lengthy sermon and starts with the qualities that Muttaqeen they have. فَالْمُتَّقُونَ فِيهَا هُمْ أَهْلُ الْفَضَائِلِ. Muttaqeen, they are those who carry a lot of virtues. أهل الفضائل. منطقهم الصواب, their speech is all good. ملبسهم الاقتصاد, their dress code, what they wear, it is something which is not too high, not too low. So decent dressing is what they wear. Mashyuhum at-tawadhu. Mashya in Arabic means to walk. Over here means their lifestyle. Now for walking also we've got adab that have been mentioned. For example in Surah Luqman says that La tamshi fil ardi maraha, that when you walk on the earth, don't walk proudly. Sometimes people, they tap their feet whilst walking and they get happy tapping their feet. Hadith says mal'oonun, such a person who gets happy when he hears the tapping of his shoes whilst he's walking, mal'oonun, he's away from the special mercy of Allah. So that is the way how you walk. The same thing applies to driving or riding a bike, for example. If someone wants to show off speed and then accelerate in the middle of the roads, now that is also against this walking, how Allah wants how you to be normal and sensible whilst driving, whilst walking. Mashyuhumul iqtisam at-tawadhu. And then says غَضُّوا أَبْصَارَهُمْ عَمَّا حَرَّمَ اللَّهُ عَلَيْهِمْ. Mu'mineen, muttaqeen, they are those who cover their eyes, their sight, their ears for that what is not allowed for them to see and listen to. So here the do's and the don'ts of what we are allowed to see, what we are not allowed to see, they kick in. Says that in Quran, غَضُّ means you have to lower your sight, lower your looks. Now when this ayah was revealed regarding looking at women, and then you have to lower your sight, a person, he comes, a young boy, comes to Rasulullah and his eyes, his face were all wounded, his eyes were bleeding. He says, Rasulullah says, what happened? Why is your eye wounded? He says that I was walking in the streets. I saw a girl and that beauty of that girl, I just got sight of her. and I just was lost in that sight, and I bumped my head in a wall, and the nail in the wall hit my eyes, and this is how I got wounded. There the ayah was revealed that Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu, O you who believe, lower your sights, lower your gaze when it comes to looking at women, that don't look at them, don't barge at them, don't stare at them. So lower your sight. So looking also, there are rules that have been mentioned. All of this a lesson to me, myself, and to you all as well. Likewise, listening also, there are rules that have been mentioned over here. Not everything are we allowed to listen to. Now generally people say music. Now music, not every music is haram. Only that music which is vulgar, or the lyrics of that, they are bad or they are indecent, and may that be against the aqaid that we have faith in, or nowadays they've come up with all these swear word songs, that is haram to listen to, haram to sing. Anything that is used in nightclubs, in pubs, in ballrooms, etc., that music which is definitely for those haram gatherings and meetings, that is definitely haram. Apart from that, you go to shopping centers, there is a background music that is being played. If it is not one of those, and you hear that, that doesn't matter. So there is limit that has been mentioned. Haram in looking, in what you see, haram in also what you hear. Likewise, backbiting, ghibat, tuhmat, accusing someone, or gossiping, or spying on others, all these are those sins that are done and committed by the tongue, by the eyes, by the ears. Now, Jahannam has 7 doors, 7 inlets. And we have to have those 7 doors of Jahannam closed upon us. Hadith says that Allah has given those 7 doors to you here, every one of us. If we secure those 7 inputs to the soul, those 7 doors of the hell, they will be closed for us forever. What are those 7 inputs? Says 2 eyes, 2 ears, 1 mouth, and the 2 private parts. If you guard them, if you secure them, if you keep them away, then you will definitely, those 7 doors of the hell, they will never open upon you. So it's easy tips that have been taught to us by Ma'sumin alayhimus salam. So libasu taqwa dhalika khair. Here Imam said malbasuhum wal iqtisad. That is, when it comes to their dress code, it's not too lavish, too high, not too poor. Now, during the time of Imam Hassan alayhi salatu wassalam, Imam was beautiful, handsome. He was wearing white clothes and was riding a horse. Someone stopped the Imam and he said that, what is this you are wearing such beautiful clothes? You shouldn't be wearing them because your father, Amir al-Mu'mineen, his dress code was different. You shouldn't be wearing this. Imam in reply says, my father was an old man. I am young now. And these good clothes, they befit someone who is young. If I wear clothes that belong to my father's time, it's going to be fancy dressing at this time. Fancy dressing is haram in Islam. Wearing anything that makes you outstand in the community, not allowed. Coming up with these punk hairstyles, for example, or wearing something which generally people don't wear, according to the fatwa of everyone, that is haram and not allowed. So there has to be decent dress code in what we wear, in how we look. It has to be according to the time that, now according to the time that we are living in doesn't mean that because everything is vulgar and bad outside, so we also have to be, no. Dress code is within the limits that Allah has mentioned. Quran says, وَاللِّبَاسُ التَّقْوَى ذَلِكَ خَيْرٌ. Even in your libas, in your dress code, taqwa has to be observed. That God has to be seen in there. Decent dressing, may that be for men, for women. If it is something, a dress code which is commonly worn by men and women, that is common, that's fine. If it is something that is exclusively for women and men are wearing, that is haram, not allowed. Anything which is exclusively for men, women wearing them, it is haram and it is not allowed. The same thing applies to shoes and all the attire at large. Now the other libas that we have in the Quran says, وَهُوَ الَّذِي جَعَلَ لَكُمُ اللَّيْلَ لِبَاسًا. Allah has made the night also a cover. So the night also hides things. He puts you to rest. The night. That is a cover. Elsewhere says, Hunna libasun lakum wa antun libasun lahun. Allah has made man a cover for the woman, and the woman a cover, a protection for the man. So she is a libas and he is also a libas. So whatever is a shortfall in the man, that is compensated and by the wife, and the flaws that are in the husband, that she takes, she covers them. So both of them, the husband and the wife, the spouses, Allah says they are a cover of each other. Hunna libasun lakum wa antum libasun lahun. So here when Imam says mashyuhum tawadu, mashi means their lifestyle, their behaviors in the community, they are with humility. To humility, a lot of emphasis is given in Islam, a lot. Because it starts from the inception of this creation. In the inception, we see that what ousted Iblis from the presence of Allah was kibr, was pride. Pride is the opposite of humility. Iblis said to Allah that I will worship you, a worshipping no one ever worshipped in the entire creation. Here Allah says that I want you to worship me as I tell you, not that you as you wish. Being an abd is what is desired. Abd, a servant, not an abid. Many people are an abid. Abid doesn't carry any weight. Iblis, he had offered a 2 rakat prayer. And then when he was caught by Allah and was ousted from the presence of God, in Mi'raj, when he sees Rasulullah, says that I've offered a 2 rakat prayer which lasted 20,000 years. I can give it to you, Ya Rasulullah. Then you can be my mediator, be my shafi. He says, I don't need your prayers. He says, your nation. Says, my nation also doesn't need your prayers. Worship is only when a person is obedient to Allah. Out of obedience, no matter how much he worships, that doesn't carry any weight. Now, when Imam says, Mashyuhum tawadu, that is the overall behavior, it is associated with humility, means that honesty, moderation, humility. These are the 3 principles that we have to have in all the servitude, in all the actions that we perform. Now the first thing that Imam mentioned over here was the tongue. Inshallah we'll continue with that. It says, Inna hadha al-lisan miftahu kulli khair wa shar. Says the tongue that we have, it is the key to every goodness and to every evil. فَيَنْبَغِي لِلْمُؤْمِنِ أَنْ يَخْتِمَ عَلَى لِسَانِهِ كَمَا يَخْتِمُ عَلَى ذَهَبِهِ وَفِضَّتِهِ. Says you have to secure your tongue, just like you secure your gold and silver. You don't want it to get lost. Just like that, you have to lock your mouth. Not everything should be uttered, not everything should be said. Khair and shar, both of them, they will be that we have to be responsible. We are responsible for whatever we say. Or elsewhere in another quote, Imam as-Sadiq, he says that Prophet Dawood alayhi salam, to him was revealed, Ya Dawood, كما أن أقرب الناس من الله المتواضعون كذلك أبعد الناس منه المتكبر من الله المتكبرون. Says just like that every person who is the nearest to Allah, they are those who are humble, who are mutawadi', they are the closest and the nearest to Allah. Says likewise, the most distant from Allah are the mutakabbirun. Mutakabbirun, those who are proud, those who are arrogant, those who don't submit to the command of Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala. May Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala help us in understanding and practicing these great sayings, count us all among the best of His servants and those who seek shahadat in His service. Ya Allah, by Abu Abdullah and Husayn and Imam al-Asr alayhi salatu wassalam, the days are related to him. All the wrong that we have done, forgive us. All those who have passed away, Allah forgive them, elevate their ranks. All those who are ill and ailing, Allah grant them shifa. Hasten in the return of our Imam, our Master, our Hujjah. Count us all among the best of His servants. Inna Allah ya'muru bil adli wal ihsan wa ita'i dhil qurba wa yanha 'anil fahsha'i wal munkari wal baghi ya'idhukum la'allakum tadhakkarun. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Wal 'asri innal insana lafi khusr إلا الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات وتواصوا بالحق وتواصوا بالصبر.